instead of just showing this beautiful scenery, saying, oh, how beautiful it is. It's obvious it's beautiful. I was thinking that maybe I could share, some of the stories that I wanted to share with my kids. The reason why I'm doing the vlog, one of the reasons is for my kids and my future grandkids. Kids, I don't want you to work on the grandkids right now. But eventually, when I have the grandkids, the kids, and maybe I'm long dead, they'd be wondering, what did Dad do again? What was his profession? So I'm gonna share. I've had 3 professions. I'm gonna share one of them. First one, which was computer programming. And if you're not one of my kids or grandkids and you like the vlog, that's great. But you don't want to hear about computer industry back in the 80s, 90s, then you could turn on some music and admire the scenery. So, computer programming, that was my first profession. I got interested in it in around 1979 or 80. 79, I think. I was lucky enough to be a teenager during the dawn of the personal computer era, and lucky enough to have a teacher. He was my math and physics teacher who bought a personal computer, TRS-80, from Radio Shack and brought it to school. He bought it with his own money, and he let the kids play with it. And obviously he knew this was something new, something interesting. I had no idea what computers were or programming, and I wasn't even a good student. I was like a B or an A student, like a GPA of like 3.5 or 6, and nothing really interested me in school. I mean, I had a love for astronomy when I was in elementary school, but high school, nothing really interested me until he brought the computer. At first, I didn't know what this thing was, but then soon I learned you could start programming it, and that was really interesting, that you could tell it what to do and it'll do exactly what you tell it to do, nothing more and nothing less. And I became like obsessed with it, and asked my dad to buy me one of these TRS-80s, and I would spend hours at home at night learning to program. Back then they didn't have YouTube, so everything was from the manual and just trial and error, and from computer magazines. And computers and me, they hit it off, and I was totally obsessed with it. Went to college, got a computer science degree, and that was my profession. During high school and college, I was even making computer games, because back then they didn't have any computer games. You had to make it on your own. I had to make it And then I was selling it. Through these small companies that would send out mail order of computer games. So initially I wrote it in BASIC and then assembly language, which is, pretty advanced for someone in high school back then. But anyway, I made computer games, made some money, and that paid for part of my college tuition. So in college, like the first class that I took in computer, it was supposed to be like a weed out class to discourage people from joining the major because they were overloaded. That class was easy for me because I already knew this stuff. Like the 10 weeks course, I finished it in like 6 weeks. And like other kids were like totally amazed, but it was stuff that I learned on my own. And after college, my first job was Xerox. And also, by the way, during college, I tried to set up my own company selling computer games, but I had the skills to make computer games, but not the skills to sell it or market it. So I abandoned that effort. And so my first real job was Xerox, making user interface for huge printers. Oh, before that too, I also had a part-time job as like a computer programmer at Denny's. We were making point of sale systems. They would hire the college students to do it for like minimum wage to code it, because if they hired a real programmer with a degree, it would cost like 5 times as much. But they would hire the college students and they save money. So I programmed the point of sale systems at Denny's part-time. There's other part-time jobs programming too. But first full-time job, Xerox. The first jobs I had, like I had no work ethic. I didn't know how to really work. I was a lazy student. I was a lazy worker. So, and I wasn't alone. I mean, most of the people at Xerox, they were lazy. And, it didn't really hit me how to work until much later. But at Xerox, programming user interface, I was able to use like the first version of Windows 1.0. Nobody had heard of Windows back then, and Windows had stolen their idea from digital research. But I used Windows 1.0 SDK, 2.0, and that was my career, programming Windows with C. Back then, the book that you had to get was from Charles Petzold, Programming Windows. But that became like my Bible, along with Kennigan and Ritchie C programming book. Okay, 2 hours to Gemmi Pass. All right. Next was, not Digitalk, it was Nevis Technology. They were making ATMs, trying to make ATMs using Windows. They were way ahead of their times. Also Xerox, trying to make user interface with Windows 1.0. It was way ahead of their time. That failed. And Nevis Technology trying to make ATMs using Windows. That failed also because they were way ahead of their time. Now I think some of the ATMs might be made from Windows, but it was too early. The technology wasn't ready. So went from that to Digitalk, which made Smalltalk, the object-oriented language, which was a really neat language. Very simple, but you could do really complicated things. You make these objects and you put behaviors. Look what's ahead. Cows. Yeah, tractor driven by, looks like the kid was about 8 years old, 9. Good to have a 8 or 9 year old kid doing some real work. So what was I talking about? Yeah, object-oriented language, Digitalk, Smalltalk. Speaking of work, every job I got, I developed more work ethic, so I was becoming less lazy. You know, at Xerox, I would be looking at my watch, seeing when can I go home. I would take 2-hour lunches, go to the coffee room, chit chat with people. So 8 hours of being there, I probably did 3 hours of real work, 3-4 hours. That was typical of most people there. But you know, going from Nevis was, I was working much harder, longer hours, like 10 hours a day, but a lot of distractions. And then Digitalk, I became more focused. So I might put in 9 hours of work, and it would be like 8 hours of real work. But eventually, I ended up at Microsoft, at their consulting division, Microsoft Consulting, and that's when I found out what real work meant. I would put in like 10 hours of work, maybe 11, and it would be like, most of it would be real honest work, like 9 or 10 hours of real work. Very stressful. Let's take a look here. Yeah, keep going this way. Very stressful job, but I learned the meaning of real work. So those parents out there, if your kids are lazy, you know, they're just not ready. When I was in high school, I wasn't ready to do real work. My brain just didn't function properly. I felt like there was a fog over my brain during high school, college, and also in my 20s. I couldn't concentrate. But like mid to late 20s, I was able to focus. So everybody's different. Some people, they're able to focus middle school, high school, college years. That's fantastic. For some people, it comes later. Everybody's different. You know, we're not the same person that we were, you know, last year. Our brain cells are being renewed every year. Really pretty over there. I'm gonna take a photo. So that was the advice I would give as a teacher to parents. If the parents were really concerned about their child not able to focus, I say, yeah, you know, everybody's gonna mature at a different rate. Doesn't mean that your child's gonna be like this forever, you know. And I would never get angry at kids if they couldn't focus. They're just not ready. You know, I try to make my curriculum interesting as possible, and hopefully they get the interest for science and make them want to learn it later. Okay, I'm assuming this is in German. All I see is rest in peace. And anything else? No. 1895. 1895. Okay. That's also in German. So, Microsoft Consulting. Very stressful job. My job was to help my clients, which were Fortune 500 companies like Toyota, Nestle, Nissan, things like that. Help them use Microsoft products and technology. A lot of times they were converting their mainframe systems or old PC-based systems to Windows-based system. So back then, Microsoft had Windows NT, Windows 3.0. So I had to not only, help build their systems. A lot of times I was building it. I had to also train their people in the technology, and then also make sure they were using Microsoft-based software. My first client, Mirage, they would have these doors from the casino for the employees, and these doors are hidden. You didn't think it was a door, but you push on a panel, it just opens, and you go inside the corridor where the employees are. And as soon as you enter, it's a totally different environment. Outside, you got nice plush carpets, beautiful lighting, beautiful furniture. As soon as you enter, you have linoleum flooring, old furniture, tacky wallpaper. But yeah, got to stay at the Mirage Hotel. You might think that was luxurious. It was for the first week or two, but after the first week or two, it gets old. And then I used to gamble once in a while, going to Vegas, but you can't be gambling if you're living there. If you're gambling like 2-3 times a year, it's fine, but you're living there, no. So yeah, you gamble a couple times, you say, oh, this is not gonna work, can't be doing this, so you can't gamble. So there's very little to do at night if you can't gamble. 35 minutes to the hotel. We've been hiking for a little less than an hour. We are here trying to make to that lake. 200 more meters. No, 150. I'm at 150 in elevation gain. I think at least 2 kilometers. Probably more. Been climbing for about 10 minutes from way down there. Beautiful view. Way more to go. Okay, been hiking for about 20 minutes up. From way down there. I think we made it to a top. Maybe not the top, but a top. Alright, here's the restaurant that the sign was talking about. So we're going downhill, a little less windy so I can continue my story. We're talking about the Mirage, and yeah, after Mirage, I consulted at Nestle for about 2 years for the Microsoft Consulting Group, and that was a nice place to work. The main thing I built for them was they rent out or lease out coffee machines for free if restaurants buy Nestle coffee. So I had to build a system that kept track of it. There's an interesting thing down there. I'm gonna take a photo. It looks like a Christmas tree, but it's like a cone. It's weird. It's a cone-shaped shelter. It looks like a Christmas tree. Okay, looks like the path keeps going up that way. Dobbin Sea is 40 minutes away. Oh, okay. We've been only hiking for an hour and 20. All right. So we're gonna make it in 2 hours, I guess. The Gemmi Pass is 4.5 kilometers. And it's 4 kilometers back to the gondola. So up here, I've been getting all itchy. My skin's getting all itchy. Is it because of the higher altitude? I don't know, like my arms, my legs got all itchy as soon as I went up the peak there. But beautiful scenery right here. It's all green. Almost feels like you were in Hawaii with all these green grass. It must have rained a lot recently. But anyway, what was I talking about? Nestle. Yeah, Nestle for a couple of years. Nice place to work. And then Korn Ferry. They are an executive search firm. Helped build an executive search software. And I was there for a couple of years as well. The longest stint was at Toyota Motor Sales. And I think I was there for 4 or 5 years. The biggest system that I worked on was for their car dealership. So it's keeping track of delivery of Toyota cars, Lexus cars to their dealership, their parts. It's like the main system for their dealership. It was called Dealer Daily. I don't know if they're still using it, but that was the biggest system that I worked on. All right, I think we've reached another top, another pass. Been hiking up for about 15 minutes from that restaurant. Really windy up here, but we're above the tree line. Above the tree line. That's probably the highest point, maybe, of my hike on this path. And then there is the lake. Dabuna Lake, Dabuna Sea or something like that. Beautiful. Look at that. Made it in 2 hours. Started at 9:20. Nice. Okay, here's some more signs. Okay. So you can go to Candlestick either way. Okay. And that is to Luckerbed. This goes to Stock. Okay. So that we could go to Candlestick that way too. No, you can't. No, that's through. That's some other way. You gotta go this way for Candlestick. Let's walk around a little bit. It's windy. There's a lot of politics in these Fortune 500 companies. There are people trying to sabotage you for whatever reason. There was a person back at Corn Ferry that thought the system that I was building wasn't going to work. So he was bad mouthing it. But you know what you do when people are doing that? You just put your head down and just keep on working and prove them wrong. So as soon as he saw that the system I was building was working, he turned around. He started promoting it. He knew how to play politics. He knew that he was on the wrong side of the argument. So a lot of times that's what happens. You gotta also, you hear jets. Those are probably Swiss jets flying around the Alps. We can't find them. So you gotta also promote using Microsoft software. So because I was working for Microsoft, I couldn't build system using Netscape. Back then, there were browser wars between Netscape and Internet Explorer. Nobody uses Netscape anymore because it was kind of crushed by Internet Explorer and later on by Google. So that's another stress. So it was very stressful. It kind of burned me out, and it's the main reason why I quit being a software engineer, stopped working in the industry. Okay, I think I'm gonna turn around here. It looks pretty much the same, and this was as far as I was gonna go because I wanted to go up the other cable car, and there's another one within walking distance. As soon as I come down, that cable car will take me up to another hiking area. I want to make it there, so I'm gonna head back from here, and you could enjoy the other view of this hike. The huge system I was building for Toyota, that is the reason why I quit the industry, because I was totally burned out after that system was built. All the stress of managing like 30 people, all the stress dealing with politics, and then we had to use the latest Microsoft software. A lot of times it's glitchy. A lot of times it's no better than the previous system, you know. And that's another reason why I quit, is because every year there will be a new set of tools, new set of APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. These new things you got to learn that a lot of time isn't better. So my brain kind of got tired of learning new things because, you know, I got into the industry to craft software. I enjoyed designing new software. I didn't enjoy learning new tools. And you got to a point where, you know, I knew I could pretty much build any kind of system, and I knew the amount of work involved, and it wasn't fun anymore. The fun part was being challenged, not knowing whether you could build it. And after I built that huge system, I knew I could build anything. It was just a matter of working hard, and I didn't want to work that hard. It wasn't fun anymore, and my brain didn't want to deal with programming anymore. And pretty much since then, so I quit in 2002. Since 2002, I didn't really program, and I totally lost the desire to program. Whereas, like, when I first got in 1978, or 1979, when I started programming, I mean, I was just totally in love. And probably from 1979 to 1998, I really enjoyed it. So that was, what, 80, 90, is that 20 years? Yeah, 20 years. I enjoyed it. The last 3 years I didn't enjoy it. There's a truck here, coming up here. Okay. He's probably delivering something. There was a hotel up here. There's a farm, I think. Okay, last look at the Dubliner Sea. And we gotta climb just a little up, and then it's downhill a lot, and then final leg there's a little bit of uphill. But I was really fortunate enough to see the computer industry, you know, at the dawn of the PC age, you know, from 1979 to 2002. That's like, what, 23 years? That was a huge difference. From 79, you're dealing with like 4K in memory computer. The TRS-80 that I had, it had like 4K or 16K in memory. We use a tape drive, audio tape drive for storage. But you have to listen to where the last one was stored. You have to actually you got to turn on the audio, the speakers, and listen. And then you press record, and the computer would record in audio sound. Yeah, in 1979, the TRS-80, no graphics. It's just characters, just, you know, letters. I think the screen resolution is probably like, I don't know, like 150 to 80 or something like that. No color, you know, no hard disk, no CD-ROM. By 2002, we had graphical user interface for a long time, laptops, pretty much look similar to now, 2023. So if you took a 2002 laptop or PC, showed it to somebody now, they would recognize it, you know. But from 1979 to 2002, they wouldn't recognize it. There was a huge technological advance, 79 to 2002, and there was some advance since 2002, but not the amount that we saw earlier. Yeah, witness all the tech giants like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs rise to the top. There's a mountain biker there. Well, you know, you gotta walk up these things. There's no way you could ride this. You see how he's carrying that bike? That's the way I felt coming up here. My first computer, TRS-80. Second computer was VIC-20. VIC-20. Did it have 16K in memory? Something like that. It was a color computer, like the first color computer I had, and it used floppy disks for the first time. And the next computer was a Commodore 64, 64K of RAM, and more features, including more colors, more pixels. And I used to make games for all of those: TRS-80, VIC-20, Commodore 64. Those are the ones that I make games for. I mean, they're primitive games compared to the ones they make now. The games that they make now, you got huge teams, like teams of 100 people or more making it. You know, back then the games were simple. You know, you got things moving across the screen and you're just shooting it. You make those games in like a month or 2 or 3. So how about the future of computing? Well, the most advances I've seen recently has been in AI. And AI technology has advanced a lot more than I expected when I was in the industry back then. So back in 1985, I took my first AI programming class. It was in Lisp. And when I took that class, I said, there's no way we gotta make advancement in AI, because Lisp, you pretty much have to tell the computer what to do. And the advancements that we are making now is because we don't tell the computer what to do. It's machine learning. The computer, the program learns. It's not told what to do. It learns based on user feedback. The user tells the program what is a better picture, for example. And the program learns, okay, this is a better picture, so we're gonna make the picture this way. So that's where I think the future in programming is AI. I think we're at the dawn of a new age, kind of like we were with the dawn of PCs in the mid to late 70s and dawn of graphical user interface in the early 90s, late 80s. So like 2023, 2022, this is the dawn of AI programming. The things that we'll see in this area will be incredible, I think, in the next 10 years. And it is also scary. If it could generate pictures and video and text that is artificial, you can't trust the photos anymore. You can't trust the videos anymore. And you can't trust what you read on the internet. It could be all artificial, may not be accurate. So it's gonna change the world. If I were in the computer industry, that's where I would go into AI, the AI field. And I think there's also a real danger of AI creating havoc, kind of like in the movies like Terminator or Space 2001 Odyssey. I think that's a real possibility within even my lifetime, and certainly within my kids' lifetime. It's something we gotta watch out for. So after 2002, I changed careers. I was starting a family. I didn't want to work like crazy amount of hours, and I decided to become a teacher. And I'll talk about that in another episode. But I'm going to end the episode here. I hope that you found that helpful.